Hey guys, it's the Doc, and here's our next installment of the hashtag Ask Dr. Mudgil series of posts. This one comes in from Reddit, and the question is titled HSV-2. After how many weeks of initial infection of herpes, that is for after first exposure, the HSV IgG antibodies develop? When is the best time to test for HSV IgG, whether antibodies develop or not? All right, so I'm going to kind of recap this question. So the patient is basically asking for when the blood test will show antibodies to the herpes simplex type 2 virus after being exposed initially. Now, it's an easy question and kind of a tough question. So I'm going to kind of go over with you the best way to evaluate someone who has potential herpes virus exposure. So if you have like a long-standing history of getting either HSV-1 or HSV-2, which are the two predominant types of herpes simplex virus. HSV-1 typically generally happens like around the lips, around the mouth. HSV-2 typically happens around the genital skin, although you could get either of these anywhere, to be honest with you. I've seen HSV-2 of the lips, I've seen HSV-1 of the genitals, I've seen folks who get HSV-1 and 2 on their knee, their elbow, their eyelid. I mean, it can happen all over the place, but that's sort of like the general paradigm of how folks describe herpes simplex virus infections. Now, someone who gets like cold sores all the time, that's typically HSV-1. If you check their antibodies, they'll have IgG antibodies to HSV-1. I think what you're asking is, how long after potential exposure will your antibodies turn positive? Usually it takes like 4 to 6 weeks. So generally what I'll do is if someone comes to see me and they have an active eruption or something that I suspect is herpes simplex virus, I will do a viral culture and blood tests. And the viral culture is the gold standard. So if that's positive, doesn't matter what the antibodies show, it just means you've been exposed. If their viral culture comes back negative and their antibodies come back negative, but I still suspect that the viral culture might have been a false negative, I'll have my patients come back in a month, I'll check 4 to 6 weeks, and I'll check their blood work again to see if they've developed any antibodies. If they had no antibodies on the initial blood test and have antibodies 4 to 6 weeks later, then yeah, obviously they were exposed to herpes simplex virus. In your particular question, if I test for HSV-2, the initial tests come back negative, but the test 4 to 6 weeks later comes back positive, then obviously yes, they were exposed to HSV-2. You can kind of rationally come to that conclusion. So just to kind of recap, the best test is getting a viral culture after the initial exposure if you have like an active eruption, and getting blood tests at the same time. Now, if the viral culture comes back positive and the blood test comes back negative, obviously you were exposed to HSV-2, and if you repeat that blood work in like a month or a month and a half, you'll have antibodies. Most folks will have developed antibodies by that point. So short answer to your question is 4 to 6 weeks. So just get your blood work checked 4 to 6 weeks after initial exposure. But the best thing to really do is get into your dermatologist, a board-certified dermatologist, immediately if you think you may have an active eruption, and he or she can do a culture, which is the gold standard for diagnosis. Hope that answers your question. Let's get it.